It began like any ordinary day at Utah Valley University. Students were moving between classes. The September air was crisp, and under a large white tent outside the Losay Center, thousands gathered. They weren't there for a football game or a concert. They were there for a man who, whether you loved him or loathed him, had become impossible to ignore. Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist, a firebrand speaker, a man who thrived on confrontation and debate. He was 20 minutes into his event, answering questions at his trademark "Prove Me Wrong" table. The crowd buzzed, some cheering, others challenging, the atmosphere tense but alive. And then it happened. One shot cracked through the air, sharp and final. Kirk collapsed, a bullet tearing into his neck. The crowd scattered in panic, screams filling the campus. In a heartbeat, debate turned to chaos. From a rooftop roughly 150 yards away, someone had fired. By the time police reached the building, the shooter was gone. All that remained was an abandoned bolt-action rifle, shoe prints pressed into the dirt, and shell casings scrawled with strange messages, references to transgender identity and anti-fascist slogans. Clues, perhaps, or maybe distractions. The truth, no one yet knew. The suspect, believed to be a young man of college age, slipped away into the shadows, leaving behind a storm of questions. Who pulled the trigger? Why did they do it? And perhaps most importantly, what does this act mean for all of us? Because as investigators comb through evidence, as news outlets speculate, as social media erupts in theories and accusations, there is a larger story unfolding here. A story not about one man alone, but about the world we are shaping. Charlie Kirk did not die in a vacuum. His story is wrapped inside a culture of division that has been building for years. A culture where political debates no longer end in respectful disagreement, but in hatred, in rage, in seeing opponents not as humans, but as enemies. And when we strip people of their humanity, when we treat them as monsters, we should not be surprised when someone eventually reaches for violence. This is the real tragedy. Not only that a man was killed, but that words and ideologies have been weaponized in ways that make moments like this possible. It forces us to ask, what killed Charlie Kirk? Was it a bullet fired by an angry stranger? Or was it a climate of anger and polarization that we all helped create? Look around. Every headline, every tweet, every viral clip pushes people further apart. Rumors spread faster than facts, blame comes before evidence, and nuance is buried under outrage. And in that storm, people lose trust, they lose empathy, and sometimes they lose control. So yes, someone out there pulled the trigger. But if we only stop at that fact, we miss the lesson. The real danger isn't just the shooter, it's the silence we keep when hate becomes normal. It's the temptation to shout rather than listen. It's forgetting that free speech and civil debate only survive if we protect them, not with weapons, but with respect. Charlie Kirk's death is more than a crime to be solved. It is a mirror held up to society, showing us what happens when division festers unchecked. And so the question we should all be asking isn't only who killed Charlie Kirk, but what role do we each play in preventing the next tragedy? Because bullets may end a life, but it is the culture of hate that loads the chamber. The shooter has not yet been caught. The investigation continues, but as the search goes on, each of us must face a choice: to fuel the fire or to break the cycle. And that is the story of Charlie Kirk, a man who lived by words, who died by violence, and whose death leaves us with a question bigger than justice, bigger than politics, bigger than one name. What kind of society are we building? And how far are we willing to let division take us?